And this is the session then for Introduction to Entrepreneurship. It's our London Metropolitan University course that we're running as part of the British Council's Creative Spark programme. And it's all being operated and run to support the Big Idea Challenge competition, which is part of Creative Spark. And we're also actually open to anybody who would find this programme helpful, whether they're involved in the Creative Spark programme or not. So it's open to the public. And we're very pleased to welcome so many people in the session today. And we're going to be dealing with pitching during today's session. And we're going to introduce ourselves now.
Should I start, Chris?
Please
Hi,
do.
everyone. My name is Sandra, and I am the competition manager at London Metropolitan University. I've worked on the Creative Spark competition for 2 years now, and I am very excited about hearing all the great ideas that we're going to have coming in this year.
And my name is Chris Lane, and I am a subject area head for subjects like social work and community development at London Metropolitan University. And my particular interest, I think, is in the social impact that entrepreneurship can have. So I'm very pleased to be joining Sandra and Natasha for this session.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Natasha Triai, and I am Student Enterprise Manager at London Metropolitan University, which means I help students and graduates set up lots of different kinds of businesses, and I'm really excited to be here with you this morning.
I've just seen that Handa, I think you put your hand up. So welcome to the session. Do let us know if you have any questions, and you can put those in the chat window in the bottom right-hand corner, and we will try and answer as we're going along. So just to give you a sense of where this session sits within our wider programme, it's session 4, and today is the 15th of May. And we've done 3 sessions already, one on ideation, one on looking at analysing problems, and last week we looked at trying to interrogate your business idea in terms of what customers or what the customers that you envisage working with actually want. And today we're looking at the crucial question of creating a video pitch, and that's really important because the session is partly geared to support people to enter the British Council Creative Spark Big Idea Challenge competition. So we're going to really be supporting you today to create the best possible pitch. We know that many people will already have got a long way down the road for creating their pitch or with creating their pitch, but we think that there'll be some people who will still benefit from this session. Next week, we're going to be meeting some entrepreneurs and having a live Q&A, but more about that later. Sandra,
Yeah, I'm going to do just a very, very quick recap of last week's with the most important takeaways. As Chris mentioned, we spoke about how to speak with your customers to understand and validate your business. So first of all, what you want to be doing is to validate the problem that your business is built around, because it's at the heart of your business. So set up interviews with customers, be ready to hear things that you don't want to hear, listen actively, don't do much talking, and ask many open-ended questions to really understand the nature of the problem. Then move on to testing your solution. And here you need to be a bit creative, try and do as much as possible with as little budget as possible, very cheap ways to understand if there is an interest for your solution and if customers would pay for your solution. So can you make money of this? And third, and maybe most important, be really objective. This is the chance you have to really understand if what you are building is something that customers want. So spend some time here and be honest and understand if people want your business, your product and your service, or if you need to maybe change it a little bit so that it's successful. Right, I'm going to pass it back to Chris for today's session agenda. We might have lost Chris. Okay, let me just keep on going. For today's session, we're going to quickly go through the Big Idea Challenge competition application, then look at the different pitch components. We will be dissecting the pitch script with an example. We will be giving you tips on how to record and shoot your video, and finally we will go to questions.
Thanks, Sandra, and sorry I dropped out there for a second. But are you carrying on with this next section?
Sure. So just to remind everyone about the assessment criteria for the competition. So this is relevant for everyone that is listening that is eligible for our competition. And if you are unsure, you can go to our website and check the terms and conditions to find out if you can take part. But the main areas that we will assess when looking at your application and your pitch are on screen right now. And you can see the first one is the problem. The second one, so how well have you identified a problem and how relevant is it? Second, the target market, have you identified it or are you not talking about it at all? Then the revenue model, how is your business going to make money? The originality and differentiation, are the competitors and why are you better? What's your passion in this idea? Do you have any particular skills or experience that link you to it? And finally, the video pitch. So this is the grid that will be used to judge the competition applications. You can find it on the course content as well, so you can have a look at it and understand how your idea is going to be judged.
And Sandra, can I add that all of those categories against which we're evaluating people's proposals are mirrored in the application form?
Yeah, absolutely. For your application, get in touch with your institutions because they need to nominate you. So all the applications have to go through your university. But what you will need to produce is a written application and a 60-second video pitch. And it's really important that it's 60 seconds. We're quite strict about it. So try and do your best to stick with it. Right, moving on to Natasha.
Thank you, Sandra. Let's see, can you see me? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sandra. Okay, so first of all, a little bit on confidentiality, because this is something that actually comes up time and time again, and individuals are concerned, what if somebody steals my idea? I don't want to share it. And I need to tell you that this actually, it doesn't happen. I've worked with hundreds of businesses over the past 7 years in London, and it doesn't happen. If it was that easy, people would be doing it. And I need to tell you that your idea is the 1%, and then you are actually the 99%. You are the driver of your idea. You have the passion for it. You make it come alive, and you can't replicate passion. So it's really wrong to have this thinking. So 60 seconds to pitch. You might think that is really easy, but actually it's such a hard thing to do. But don't worry, because we're here to guide you through the process, help you with the structure. You've also got your institutions that will be able to support you as well. Any questions you have throughout this process, please just let us know. We're here to make you feel confident that you're delivering a fantastic pitch. And we're here to help you deliver an effective pitch by understanding what you need to research and building your case around that. So just quickly on why is it important and why do we make you do 60-second pitches? Well, it's such an important skill to have, and it's not just in a professional capacity, but throughout your lifetime, you're going to be required to pitch, sometimes in your personal life as well. So if you can develop this skill right now and really build and refine on it, it's going to help you not just for this competition, but throughout your whole life. Okay. Next slide. Can you see that? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, and we've gone too fast. We were going too slow before. Okay, so the ingredients of a good pitch. So imagine we are a chef, a baker in the kitchen, and we're going to make a really yummy cake. Well, that's what we're going to do with this pitch. And the ingredients of a good pitch are the problem, the solution, the target markets, the revenue model, the originality, differentiation, your passion, and then wrapping it up at the end. Now that is a lot to get into 60 seconds, so you need to know what you're saying, and I'm going to break each of these sections down for you right now. Sorry, 1 second. Here we go. I think my browser's been a little bit slower this morning. Okay, we've got the problem side now. So let's look at the problem. So customers don't buy products, but they buy solutions to problems. And this is in fact where most ventures fail. Not creating something that people want in an effective way. So every problem has got a solution, but not every solution has got a problem. And a lot of entrepreneurs will be very solution focused and solution led, and that's where they make a mistake. So we're trying to help you to identify what the problem is and articulate that in an effective way. Now, if you've started to do any research on pitches, you'll notice that the problem section comes up again and again. And any great pitch will have a problem and a solution fit, and there's a very particular reason for that. So we start the pitch with the problem, and that's in order to frame the whole pitch altogether. It is the most important part of the pitch. I can't stress this enough. It's also used for storytelling, and it's to create a natural flow of the presentation itself. And this is really the art of storytelling. We want to create a narrative that the audience can engage with. A strong problem statement so we can understand why must your business exist. If you can articulate that really effectively, you're going to be great. That's going to make a successful pitch. So think about, well, what is the problem that I am solving in the world with my business? And there will be a painful problem behind every successful business. So you need to identify what this painful problem is, what the pain point is, how important is it to these individuals, how big is this problem, and that's what you need to communicate. So how can we do that? So we can do that by looking at statistics. That can be very powerful, but you need to be careful with statistics because they have to be compelling. There's no point in saying 10 out of every 100 million people experience this really big problem, because it's not a large number. So you need to make sure the statistics that you're using are compelling and really interesting to the audience here, so they see that they have an opportunity. So another thing that can help is situations or stories, and that really helps the audience to understand if they are not the target market. Also, you can ask a question, but again, you need to be careful with this section because you have to be confident that you'll know the answer. I actually worked with some students recently who had an idea for a product that was edible birthday cakes, birthday candles, not birthday cake, but birthday cake candles, and I wasn't convinced of this product idea. However, they started their pitch and they asked the whole audience, there was about 150 people there, put your hands up if you have a birthday this year. And of course, everybody in the room puts their hands up, and it started it off really amazingly. So really, what you need to do is convince the audience of this pain point before you move on to the solution. And those are 3 ways that you can do that very effectively. Help the audience understand that the pain hurts and allow them to feel that pain before you move on to the solution. Sandra, do you want to just forward that slide?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we're on the next one.
So moving on to the solution. So if you've participated in one of our ideation sessions, you will have pitched your big idea in 1 sentence, and that's exactly what we're going to do with this pitch here. So first of all, you frame the pitch correctly with the problem. We never start with the solution, always the problem first. And from now on, if you've not done that already, we're going to name your business. So no references to my idea. This is what I'm going to do. Start giving it a name and make it a reality, make it come alive. And you communicate what it does in 1 sentence. So your problem is the negative, and then your solution is the positive. You're making the world a better place with your business idea. And when you communicate the solution, you want to make it simple and concise, make it really easy to understand. So don't use any industry words. Assume the audience has got got zero knowledge. You want to make this really as simple as possible. And sometimes I've seen at this section, when individuals are quite technically minded, they get into a lot of detail here, and that's actually really bad. You want to remain at a high level and not a lot of description. Make it very simple for the audience to understand. The purpose is really making the audience excited and emotionally invested, and this makes for really impactful storytelling. You want to take the audience on a journey through your idea. So you want them to feel the pain of the negative, the problem, and then when you come in with your solution, they're going to feel relief at your awesome business idea, your product or your service, and your team that's here to rescue. Okay, next slide, Sandra. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to your target market. So now that your audience understands the problem and the solution, we want to tell them more about the people who are actually experiencing it. And I'm going to tell you, first of all, it's not everybody. I've met so many businesses over the years of early stage entrepreneurs that say, my business is targeting all individuals. And I think people say this because they're trying to illustrate there's an opportunity, but it's actually really flawed to do that because your business isn't targeting everybody. If you think of all the people that you know in your life, all the different experiences of these people and all the problems that they have, it's all really different. So if you can be more exact and define it at this point, that's going to be more effective in illustrating what your opportunity is. So be as exact as possible. We want to look at age, location, careers, hobbies, maybe even illnesses that people experience, and that can help you get there and identifying who your customer is. And remember to link it to the problem. It all has to be connected and flow through. So once you've got more of an understanding of who your customer is, we want to understand, well, how many of them are there? How much money do they spend right now addressing this problem that they currently have? How many number of units do they buy of this year already addressing this problem? So this is where you need to be a bit of an investigator, and you can find out all this information really easy on the internet. Google is such a fantastic tool for this, it really is. So then looking at different trends. So I think, Sandra, you mentioned before on how to do research on Google Trends, and this is really relevant for this section here. We want to be looking at things like demographics, cultural, economic trends, technology trends. Have there been any changes to the regulation in the industry? All these are really important, and what we want to see is a growth in trends. That's fantastic. We like growth, and growth will really excite your audience. So a well-communicated problem, a really simple solution that then fits that problem, plus the growth, now you're talking. You're going to be giving a great pitch if you follow these. Okay, thanks, Sandra. Next slide. Looking at the revenue model. So this is actually a very exciting part because it's how your business is going to make money. And we want to hear this in your pitch. So let's look at a few of these models. So transactions might be one-off sales for products or services. Subscription models becoming a lot more popular in different industries, especially the UK. So a reoccurring sale of a regular payments, normally automated or contracted. There are a lot of beauty boxes that I've seen. I'm going to my list to order this weekend actually. You pay a certain amount of money a month and you get delivered perhaps 5 goods. That's a subscription model. Membership, maybe a monthly or annual fee for a reduced transaction, and a lot of gyms will operate like this. Maybe you will franchise or license. So this is selling the rights of your IP to others. So McDonald's is a very famous fast food restaurant, not very healthy food, but they're global, they're all across the world, and many of their restaurants are franchise, which means that these restaurants have got the right to use the business model, the branding, and all the procedures as well. There's another way your business could make money. So if you are professional services, you might decide to make money on hourly rates as well. So these are a few of the different ways in which you can make money. We want to hear in your pitch which one you're using. So if you can communicate that, great. Okay, thank you, Sandra. So the originality, the differentiation. So what we're looking at right here is the competition. So one thing that I see is many entrepreneurs think that there's no competition. And again, the thinking behind that, I believe, is that you're trying to show that you are going to be successful. Nobody else is doing this. You're brand new. And that's actually a wrong way to think. So if you look back to your customer, they're actually solving their problem right now. However they're doing that, that is your competition. Now, sometimes this can be easy and you're entering a space where there is a lot of competition, and that's not actually a bad thing. I think a lot of people think it's bad. It's really not, because it shows that there's demand for what you're creating. Now, sometimes it can be a little bit harder to identify who your competition is, and we can show you that with our example a bit later and how we identified that. And as an example, you can think back to when cars were first invented. There was no direct car competition for the very first car, but people were using horses, carriages, walking. So when the car first came to market, that was what the competition was. So if you're sitting there right now thinking you don't have competition, begin unpacking, well, who's your customer? What's their problem? How are they solving that right now? And that will help you identify who your competition is. So once you've done that, we want to understand how you will differ from your competition. How are you going to be better? And things that will be able to help you identify this are maybe it's cost, maybe it's speed, maybe it's quality or accuracy. Have to think about what is it you're doing that's going to be different and better to your competition. Okay, next slide, Sandra. Thank you. So looking at your passion, so this is really, who is your team? Who's on board to deliver and execute this business idea? So what are your core competencies? Now, we don't want you to go in great detail here, and we can show you some examples of how this is delivered, but it's really important that you identify key skills. This lets the audience understand what your commitment is to the idea and actually how you're going to be able to execute it. So I would say as well, it's also important to identify any gaps that you might have. You don't need to write this in your written application or your pitch, or maybe as a section of the written application, but not in the pitch. Not necessary. If you're really committed to developing a business idea, it's important that you know where your strengths are. When you start a business, you've got to be a jack of all trades. So it's not just your product or your service. You've got to understand marketing, finances, negotiation, communication. There's many different elements. So if you can understand where your strengths are, you can understand where your gaps are, and then you can know how to fill these effectively as well. Okay, thank you, Sandra. Next slide. Okay, let's go over the recipe, the cake recipe for our pitch structure. So first of all, we want a really strong start. So introduce the problem with a powerful statistic, a personal story, or a question, but make sure this creates a lot of impact for your audience. Second of all, we want to look at the solution, so a very concise, simple description of the solution in one sentence, how it solves the problem, and how you're different from the competition. Make sure you don't use any industry jargon at all. Keep it simple. Number 3 is your target market. So we want a clear identification and quantification of who is affected by the problem. We want it in detail. We don't want everybody. We don't want something in general. We need this to be detailed and exact. Then we move on to the money. So how is your business generating money? What revenue model is it using? And you can keep this really simple. So then we want to hear more about your passion, so your expertise, your team, and if you've got a great network and connections, you can also mention that. That will really be an impressive boost for your pitch. And then closing, we want to finish with a strong slogan. So a problem that I see sometimes in pitches is that they just end, and it's incredibly awkward because the audience doesn't realise they've ended. Should they clap? Should they not? So when you're delivering, what I want you to do for these 60-second pitches is come up with a slogan at the end. So usually this will be effective with using your business name and then really reiterating what the essence of your business is to make it really stand in people's minds. Okay, thank you, Sandra. Next slide. Okay, voila, there we go. There is our cupcake result. And we've got a red velvet cupcake there, which is going to be absolutely delicious for any audience that is going to eat it. So we're going to take you through an example now. We actually filmed the pitch that we did remotely, and I'm going to pass on to Chris, who is going to set that next up for us.
Well, yes. So actually what we're going to do now is that Sandra, Natasha and I are going to pitch a business idea to you, and we're going to do it live. So I think that I just need to check that Sandra and Natasha are both ready to get going.
Ready.
Are you ready?
Gosh, give me 2 seconds.
So I have to say this, when you're delivering a pitch, one of the things that you really need to do is learn your words off by heart. Now, in our little example we're doing here, actually, we're going to be referring to a script. Hopefully you won't see that we're reading from a script, but when you're doing it, ideally, you would be doing it straight to camera and memorizing the words.
I've got it, guys.
Are you ready?
Yeah, ready.
Off you go.
Okay, so as summer approaches, the lockdown is relaxed and pressure on parks is really going to rapidly increase.
There are already concerns that distancing rules are being ignored, but also that families without a garden are worried about accessing green space safely.
Safe Open Space is a free GPS app for booking your own spot in the park. Through community partnerships and self-policing, we'll create reassuring, socially distanced family spaces based on new crowd dynamics research.
Safe Open Space accommodates 16,000 bookings per day per park, and there are 27,000 parks in the UK alone.
Our team have the tech, social entrepreneurship, and project management skills needed to deliver without investment.
We'll be more COVID ready than existing outdoor activity businesses and produce 20,000 year one revenue by licensing to park authorities. And 10% profits will go to projects creating jobs for young people.
Safe Open Space for COVID secure parks.
Okay, so that was our pitch. I have to say that I didn't time us, but I'm not sure whether you think we managed to do that in the space of a minute. I'm going to now go through, somebody called out, I see, Abduvozid, you called out time. You said,
looks like we managed.
Great. That's because we practice many times. Practice helps.
So what we're going to do now is, just to remind us, the pitch is really, the reason we're preparing you for this is in relation to the Big Idea Challenge. Just to remind you, there's £3,000 in grant funding for the winning teams. And when you enter the competition, you can enter in the digital technology, social impact, or creative categories. But there are also additional awards, and there's a large international public vote, which last year gained 40,000 people engaged with it. And this year, the British Council have introduced an additional category, which the judges will just assess, so it doesn't really change the way people apply for the competition. But we have a new category, which is pandemic response innovation. So actually, our pitch, you can see that we just delivered, was in response to that particular idea, that particular area that we think is going to be particularly important for forthcoming new businesses. And what I'm going to do now is take you through the pitch and just make a few comments about it. This is actually a transcript of the pitch. So all of those words that Sandra and Natasha and I just said are included here. And here's a really key message, 140 words. So if you get your pitch down to 140 words, you will manage to deliver it in a minute. And what we're just going to do now is look through this pitch, and I won't dwell too long on all of these different phrases that we put into the pitch. But if you want to go back over it later, you will be able to see the recording on the course website. So we have a sentence, as Natasha suggested, to define the problem. And just to say, I've got a few pictures here. So this is the problem. We have to stay 2 meters apart in our public parks. And at the moment, our parks are empty. Next, we've got the solution. So we identified the solution. And our innovative idea is that we're going to get park authorities to mark parks out, and we're going to have an app that will allow people to book spaces. We've identified who the target market is. And actually, I think that there are two markets, arguably. One is that we're addressing consumers, but we're also addressing businesses directly. And actually, really, our customer in this case, because the people who are paying for this are going to be the park authorities, according to our business model. We're going to gain £20,000 in year one from licensing to park authorities. So that fits in with Natasha's point about the model that you use. And we've identified two areas of originality and differentiation. We're going to use new research into crowd dynamics so that we can keep people safe and distant from each other. And we're also going to be more COVID ready than traditional businesses. Our passion is linked to the skills that Sandra and Natasha and I have. And we wrapped things up with a slogan. We also added a little bit more detail to our explanation. So we talked about the specific method that we were using to scientifically analyze distance. And I wanted to say that when you present things, if you wanted to have any visual material to aid you, you don't need to do it in a very sophisticated way. Something like a diagram of this kind is perfectly okay, and you could hold up a piece of paper during your pitch, but not really necessary. Really, we want to see your faces. We've got added value, so we're creating jobs for young people, and we've got GPS used as part of our technology, and we're working through community partnerships to get to market. Our evidence of market is that and this was just from Googling, there are 27,000 parks in the UK alone. We think we can do this without investment, and our competitors are outdoor activity businesses, and our forecast performance is this £20,000 worth of revenue. We expect to get a 10% return on investment. So that's our analysis of the pitch, and I think what you can see is that within those 140 words, it's possible to pack in an enormous amount. Now, I just wonder, would anybody like to give any critique of our pitch? You can post anything you like into the chat window. I'm just going to wait for a couple of moments to see whether anybody would like to make any comments, or particularly make any criticisms or suggestions for improvements that we could make to the pitch.
And we wouldn't be offended. I think it's a really important part when you're delivering pitches and developing them, to get feedback and to take it on board as constructive and work it into the pitch. So any comments?
Okay, well, while here we are. How will you obtain the license to see it to the park authority? Well, essentially what we're saying is that we're going to sell the right to the software to have the park added to our booking system. So I think we're suggesting that the park authority would pay £500 for the license. The estimation of sustainability, that's an interesting question, Alex, because you could say that this isn't going to last very long, because once the need for social distancing ends, maybe this business need will disappear. So I think you're right, it's actually a short-term proposal, but actually, having said that, we don't know how long social distancing measures are going to be in place for. It could be more than a year, couldn't it? I think these are the kinds of things that we're hearing at the moment. I'm going to just highlight, you can carry on making your comments if you like, but I just thought I'd highlight a few things that we thought. Parks are a big part of UK culture, but I think in other climates and other cultures, maybe they're not quite so important. So although we've only estimated our business on the basis of a UK business, potentially it has wider opportunities, but maybe not in every culture, and we need to think about that. Also, if we're going to rely on GPS, how accurate is it? So technically, are there any problems? Can we really think that we could run something like this on a community voluntary model? Not so sure about that. And do we really have the time to make this project work? Because Sandra and Natasha and I all have day jobs. So there's a question there. If we were going to make this happen and we weren't having any investment, we'd have to do it in the small hours probably. And then I think the other question about competition, and Natasha raised this, it's a really important point, is that there are substitutes for what we're proposing, because people can just go to the park and sit down, and it's a lot simpler than having to book a space. So maybe that's perfectly adequate as things are at the moment. And I just thought, this is a picture I took in my local park yesterday, and you can see that people are already finding ways of sitting down and socially distancing without our product. The other question is, can local authorities mobilise in time, because the summer is upon us and the need for this product is with us already. So are we ready, and can our partners be ready? And I just thought it was worth noting here that yesterday somebody posted a news story about how parks are being mowed in stripes 2 meters wide to try to guide people about how close they can get to each other. Now, just a few more points to make. I think that we would say, when you're creating your transcript, test it, edit it, practice it, test it, edit it. And if you do that, you'll improve the pitch enormously. And just to show you how we did that for us, we constantly edited and re-edited and tried to hone and improve the script. And we did it actually, as you're about to see. I just need to get to the end of this. Edit after edit after edit we did to try to make improvements. And any minute now, in the end, whoops, sorry about that, we made 250 editing changes over the course of getting this pitch to you. So I think that, you know, that's something that we would really recommend that you try to do as well. Sandra, am I handing over to you on this slide, or shall I deliver it?
Yeah, you can keep
Okay,
going.
so I think that what we would say, just to summarize, is, you know, try to avoid a slow start on your pitch. Make sure that you really give it punch in the first few seconds. Don't ramble on. Make sure that you really do keep to those 140 words and keep to 60 seconds. Don't go into too much detail, and make sure you finish with a really strong concluding slogan. Sandra.
Okay, so we've looked at pitch content and what the different components or ingredients are that you should include in your pitch. And the next question now is, how can I record my pitch? Because we're all at home at the moment, we're not at university, so we don't have anyone that can help us. There's no professional videographer that can take a video recording of us. So how do we do that? And we know that you're all very concerned about the quality of the videos. You think, oh, filming it at home is not going to be a very good quality. What can I do? Well, we would like to highlight the fact that quality video recording does not necessarily need a professional videographer for you to have a great quality video. What a quality video recording needs, in our case, is first and foremost very clear audio. We need to be able to hear what you're saying, otherwise we won't be able to assess your video. So really be mindful of that we need the audio to be extremely clear and understandable. Excuse me. Second thing that we need is steady filming. So make sure that your camera is set properly and it's not somebody holding it up and wobbling up and down. However, what it does not need is professional equipment. It does not need a filming studio. It doesn't need any video editing skills, and it doesn't need necessarily high definition images. If you have any of these, so if you have a filming studio at home, then you're extremely lucky and feel free to use it. But you know, you don't need all of this to make a good quality recording. In fact, when you're home and you're video recording, what you can use is your smartphone. So an iPhone, a Samsung, an Android, any smartphone you have. If your family has one, maybe you don't have one, you can borrow it and use it. If you have a tablet, you can use that. If you have a laptop with a camera, you can also use that. Or any other camera you have, just as long as you can record a video, that's good enough for us. Looking at a few do's and don'ts when we are recording. Let's start with the things you should be doing while recording. So first, use a timer. Set your phone or an alarm clock or anything to 60 seconds so that you know that your pitch is not too long. If you want to take a couple of seconds before pitching to gather your thoughts, that's fine. You know, start a recording and leave a couple of seconds where you're just preparing yourself, and then start pitching with the timer. That is totally fine, but make sure that your pitch is not longer than 60 seconds. Second, speak clearly. When you're talking, don't talk like this and, you know, mumble, because again, it's not going to be a clear audio. Speak clearly and take your time so that we can understand what you're saying. Third point, if possible, stand in front of a clean wall. So you see in the picture on the screen now, there's just a white wall at home. My background now is not as good. So if you have a chance to be in front of a white wall, do that. Moving on to what you should not do. When you record your pitches, please do not add anything to it. So don't add any name, any text, any effect, any background. Just leave a blank video. We will work on it before putting it on the website if you're selected as a finalist. So don't worry about any kind of editing to the video. We will take care of that. So, a couple of useful tips to share with you. These are tips from a YouTuber, so someone who records videos on YouTube for a living. So they know what they're doing, and their advice on recording videos is use a higher definition camera if you can. For example, on your iPhone, you have two cameras, one at the back, one at the front. Use the one at the back because it's got a better definition than the one at the front. If your phone only has one camera, don't worry about it, use that one, it's going to be perfect. Second, clean your lens. At the back here, before you start recording, give it a little wipe with a cloth or your shirt or anything. Make sure there's no dirt on the lens. Third, put your camera steady somewhere on books or crates or a piece of furniture. Again, don't get someone to hold it for you. It would be a bit wobbly, so you want it to be somewhere stationary so that it's not moving around when you're filming. Third, if you're using your phone, use it horizontally and not vertically. Yeah, so we're using the phone like this so that the field of the recording is wide. Fifth, sit in front of a window. I'm sitting right now facing a window in front of me so that the natural light shows my face. Avoid direct sunlight if possible, but try and sit somewhere where there's natural light so that we can see what you're filming and it's not completely dark in the camera. And last but very important point, sit close to the microphone. So stay within 1 meter of your recording device to make sure again that the audio is really, really clear and we can hear you properly. Then, plenty of tips today. More things to keep in mind. When you're delivering a pitch, keep eye contact with the camera. So look straight in the camera when you're talking, as if you were looking at your audience in a live room. Try and not read from scripts and notes. We said this already. Practice your pitch, know what you're saying so that you can focus on looking at the camera rather than reading your notes. Be aware of your body language. So be present in the camera. Don't sit all hidden away, but just have a very good posture and good body language while you're talking. Show us that you're excited about your idea. We're going to see a lot of pitches, so we want you to be energetic in your pitch and bring that across even in a video. Try and make it memorable if you can. So make it very personal to your idea and very relevant, and be natural and engaging. We don't want you to be a robot in front of the camera if possible, but try and be natural as if you were talking to us in a room. So we also had a lot of questions asking how people can record video pitches in their team since they're all in different houses. And I think we've shown you an example of that today. You can do it on video conferencing tools. So one of them is Zoom. If you haven't heard of it, just Google it. It's a free software that anyone can download and create an account with. And you can record a pitch with this, with your teammates if you like. If you prefer to just pitch by yourself, one person in a team, that's fine as well. It's completely up to you, whatever you prefer. When you're recording the pitches, pay attention on where your camera is. So just make sure that, as you can see, it's focused rightly, that your frame is in the field. That is not just recording your t-shirt or your head. Make sure that you're not in your pajamas, but maybe you've taken a shower and you've groomed a little bit.
Shave.
You've shaved.
Iron your t-shirt.
Up to you, I guess.
Your hair.
You know, that's not going to it's not going to affect the way we're judging you, but you know, put some effort in. We're all at home and struggling with obviously being presentable, but put some effort into it. We would appreciate it. Again, learn your words off by heart, so don't read from your script. You can have it on your screen if that helps you, but try and memorize your pitch. It's 60 seconds, so it should be fairly doable. This is how we did it, how we had it on the screen. However, please do try and learn it by heart. So going back to the Zoom, if you wanted to record a pitch with your teammates on Zoom video conferencing, this is how you do it. So this is how Zoom looks like when there's several people in the conference. At the top here, you can change the way you see the videos. So you want to make sure that you are in the grid view, so you see us exactly like that. And then in the more option at the bottom, and let me just take a little hand. In the more option down here, you can start the recording and stop the recording. This is where you change the view. And in this way, you can then basically stop the recording, end your call, and your automatic. So this is enough. We don't expect you to have, you know, crazy professional videos. All we want to see is you and your group, as you wish, performing the pitch with a clear audio and just with your energy and excitement coming across. So this was it for pitching. I'm going to quickly introduce next week's session, which is going to be very exciting with some real-life entrepreneurs that are going to talk about their experience with building businesses in different areas. They're going to talk a little bit about their background, and then we will ask them questions. So we would love to have some questions in advance. If there are things that you've always wanted to know from entrepreneurs, send them through, either on the discussion forum or on the info@ email address that is on screen right now. We will collect some questions in advance of next week's session, but also take questions obviously live during the session, as we've done today as well, so that depending on what the entrepreneurs share, you can, you know, ask more details or ask whatever comes up during the session next week. So we're very excited. Please do share as many questions as you can. And we are now going to look at questions. Okay. I saw there was some activity in the chat. Chris, anything we have?
Yes, no, Sandra, I answered a couple of questions. I think that Victoria's answered a question from somebody who's asking whether Samarkand State Institute of Foreign Languages students can enter the competition. I think that students in Uzbekistan who can make contact with the Ministry of Innovative Development of the Republic of Uzbekistan are able to enter through that channel. But what I have suggested is that if you have any questions about eligibility, please just email us at the email address that I've given in the chat window, which is also the one that Sandra put on the screen earlier. So it's info@creativespark-bigidea.uk, and we'll answer those questions to you independently so that we can give you an answer that's specific to your own situation. Somebody, I think Abbas Abbas raised a question about subtitles. So I think, Sandra, you mentioned this, that we don't want any graphics of any kind superimposed on the video. It should just be the clean video with pictures of you speaking and of your face and the other people in your team if you're doing it as part of a recording of a video conference session. What happens is when you upload your video to YouTube, which is part of the process of submitting your video, it needs to be on YouTube really to enter the competition. YouTube will automatically produce closed captions or subtitles. And actually, once those have been entered, it's possible for you then to edit them so that you can correct and improve them, because sometimes the automatic speech recognition doesn't work completely perfectly. But definitely do not add any subtitles prior to adding your video to YouTube.
I'm also going to add that obviously Zoom is the option that we chose, but by no means we expect you to use it if you prefer to do it another way. So we're very open to you being creative. If you would like to all take individual videos and then put them together to one video, that works as well. We just wanted to show you an option on how it could be done, but it doesn't mean at all that that is what we expect.
And Sandra, Sandra, I think that's a good point. I mean, we experimented with it ourselves, so we've proven that it works. So it's a perfectly good way with the free account of making a 3-person or a 2-person pitch, even if you're in different locations. But of course, there are different methods. Now, somebody's asked, Abduvozid is asking a question. He's saying, I'm confused right now. We created a website. I can pitch this idea saying that this website helps us to find masks, but later it can be used to find any medical drug nearby. Or another idea, I pitch saying that I'm going to create a web app that helps to find. Okay, I'm just wondering, colleagues, if you, Sandra and Natasha, if you have a look at Abduvozid's question, I'm thinking that probably you need to be specific about your idea and not hedge too much. So I think that something that's multi-purpose wouldn't be sufficiently targeted at an audience, at a specific customer group. So I think that we would definitely say be very targeted and take just one idea. Don't try to merge different ideas together. There has to be a resolution, really. No music in the background, Alex. Absolutely no music. We don't want that, and it is not necessary for there to be a white background. Sandra suggested that it's good if you've got a plain background behind you, and that's correct. But if you happen to be in a space and in a house that doesn't have any plain backgrounds, you will have to make use of what you can find, right, Sandra?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I also, we mention it if possible. So, yeah. I think it's up to your own judgment, really. Maybe try and record the video with different backgrounds at home and choose the one that you think looks better. Okay, Marigaba is asking, where can I find previous modules? So if you go back to the course content, Marigaba, there's one section for each of the sessions that we ran previously. And in there, you will find the recording of all the sessions, so you can watch them in your own time. All right, then we've got Asgarov asking, also I want to ask about Google Trends. I checked this tool and explored in Uzbekistan, especially in Samarkand. There are few searches. What do you think will be raising trend in the future? I mean, will be there any different tool to study market segmentation? I think that's up to you to find out, Asgarov. Google Trend is a good tool to understand the trends of certain things while assessing the searches in the internet, but it's definitely not the only one. And it's up to you really to figure out the way that you think is the most appropriate to understand where that market is going.
If I could add something, sorry, go on, Natasha.
I was going to say quickly, I've just done a quick search on Google. I would say use Google in any case to see if you can do some research from there. But I've just typed in on Google alternatives to Google Trends, and there's many different competitors. So perhaps you can have a look at, start off by looking at these ones to see if you can get some information from there.
I think the really important thing is that Google Trends is easy to access and free, whereas there are many companies that provide bespoke consultancy on market trends for particular segments of the economy. And the trouble is they tend to charge quite a lot of money. So if you're a new entrant, it can be quite hard to afford to pay the costs. But you will find that some of those companies publish some free material as well. But there's a big business in market analysis and analytics. Do we have any other questions?
What if team members will not participate, only me in the video? As mentioned before, totally fine. That's a decision that you and your team need to make. Interested in, what do you think using nature landscape as background? Does this mean that you want to record a video outside?
I feel like it's better. I feel maybe that's saying maybe they have got some sort of decoration that might. I think that means it's inside, but I would say keep it as clear as possible, because we want to see you. And really, the pitch is all about you, your content, how you're delivering it, and if there's a lot going on in the background, that can be a bit of a distraction.
Okay. Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, any other questions? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, actually, I was just going to say one. Oh, is it possible to shoot video outside?
No, no.
Alex is saying.
Yeah,
I would say, Alex, if possible, don't do it. First and foremost, because of the sound. Mm-hmm. There's, always background noise outside. There's cars passing by, animals, wind. The microphone will not pick up your voice very well. So, no, I would say, please, if possible, stick with inside. It's also safer at the moment. So, stay home.
I was going to add one more thing, just to say that when we presented our video pitch earlier, the three of us, I forgot that I had intended to cancel the slides so that you could see us in full screen. So you saw us with little tiny pictures at the bottom of the screen. But later on today, we will upload a recording that we did earlier of our pitch, where you will see it more in the style that we think you would be able to submit it if you recorded it in Zoom. So just to look out for that later. We'll publish this lecture. If you didn't catch all of it, or if we went a bit quick for you, you can review it on the course website and look back. There's one more question that I can see. We don't really want you to use any graphics in your pitch. I did prepare this one, which I just drew with a marker pen and a piece of photocopy paper, and it could be held up. But really, that's about the limit. We wouldn't really want you to go any further, because we want to see you, and we want to see how good you are at communicating face to face. That's really what the pitch is about. So we're quite happy for you to mention another organization, but not really to present its logo. That's an answer to Adina. Thanks for the question, Adina.
Okay, great. So again, as said before, please send us your questions. We're quite curious to see what you want to know from entrepreneurs, and we will, in this case, see you next week.
And Oibek, the answer to your question about where to find the link to how to shoot the video, that's this video. I think Sandra has included some information there. We can put some other links up as well on the course site, but you'll find that all on the course site under today's session. We'll put a link up there for some links to guidance on video. That's fine. Great.
Great to be here
Thanks,
today.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.